And we're live. Hey, what's up, everybody? It's been a minute. Also, it's been a minute since I've used my tree, by the way. Sidetrack. Names and areas, for those who don't know me, I host a show called Vtuber Gaming Talk, in which I invite a VTuber to a one-on-one talk about video games and video game-related topics. Also, I'm going to obscure the screen a little bit. Bear with me. Oh, wait. No, it didn't do that. Okay, cool. I'm just lowering the volume of the music a little bit. There we go. Okay. So, what was I? Oh yeah, VTuber Gaming Talk show about video game and video game related topics. I invite a VTuber to a one-on-one talk, and today we have a recent friend of mine. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi guys, meow konnichiwa. It's Rogue Liliana here, Queen Flame Kingdom of
You got this.
Queen of the Flame Kingdom. And Scottish Cat Girl. Hi. I do that all the time.
It happens. You know, I've been like, 43 episodes in, and I just, in episode 40, I've learned that whole shtick on, so, yeah, no, don't worry, it happens. And I've started doing it, I think, on episode, 30, 25? I don't remember anymore. It's been too long. But yeah, so before we start, I have to do a few things here and there. So, since this is episode 43 and we are close to March, on March, it's going to be the 2-year anniversary of this show. Just as a heads up, it's not going to be nothing special. As a heads up, there is no special plans for it yet, outside of just being a returning month, which means basically all the guests that are coming up are guests that have been here before, either last year or even before that. So yeah, that's the heads up. There is nothing special outside of that, as far as I know. So yeah, that's pretty much the announcements I have. So to start the show, the usual question I ask here is, what are your favorite games? That's a classic question here.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch of games that are probably in my top 10 list. I have to say probably my favorite and my most loved and probably most hated is Final Fantasy XIV. I love that game so much. It's just I've been playing it for 9 years. And probably got, I think it's nearly 9. I've got over 8,000 hours in the game, so it's a long time. And it was actually one of the games that I started to stream with, and I ended up being a full-time Final Fantasy XIV streamer for a long time, for 2 or 3 years, until I went variety. But it was one of those things where you play it so much that you started to resent it a little bit, and I was like, I have to step away from this. So Final Fantasy XIV is 100% my favorite game. The story is amazing, the community are pretty awesome. Even the Twitch community here, for 14 is pretty nice. But it's an MMO, right? So it's one of those things where you play it when you want to, but sometimes you log on and not everybody's logged on at the same time, and you kind of bypass your friends in the night kind of deal because of time zones. But when you organize something and you get together with your friends or community and we're all doing the same content together, it's one of those things that you just can't beat. That it's just so much happiness goes on in there, or rage, depending on what you're doing.
Yeah, that's one of those games that you have to enjoy it way more with friends than solo. It's like playing World of Warcraft by your own. The grinding is fine if you like doing that by your own, but it's way fun with friends if you want to just have a laugh and just goof off on doing missions or doing raids, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thing is, with 14 though, the game has changed a lot since I started. And now they're introducing a lot of methods for people to play solo without having to use the community. Because of that, the community is definitely lessened. There's not as much I kind of want to just use the word togetherness. Like it used to be like there was a lot of camaraderie, but it's not as much anymore. Which is kind of like part of the sadness I have with the game, because like when I was playing it full time, like I would go in and I do hunt raids like for hours, but we would organize it in the game. So we'd have a thing called link shells. It's just like a group chat, and basically we'd all organize it. We'd spawn the mob and we'd get our loot and whatever. But now it's all done through Discord. So any new people coming into the game, I'm kind of sad because they don't get the same experience. And it was like so nice just to be able to like make friends from all over the world just like in your server and just, I don't know, just get together. It was really cool, but it's still a fantastic game. Still, I will sell the crap out of it. If anybody should play, there's a free trial, definitely go play. So yeah, it's one of those things, like I definitely encourage people to play it because the story is so good. I've cried so many tears over that game.
Yeah, I don't know about you, Midori, but I'm having a weird sense of deja vu here. Like, yeah, in the past I had at least 4 or 5 guesses that were super good, like way huge fans of Final Fantasy XIV. They played the living hell out of it.
Yep.
Yeah, this is a deja vu. Everybody loves that game, and with good reason. It's a great game. It's a really great game.
It's why it's stolen 9 years of my life. It's such a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's probably my top tier game. But I do love other games. Like I love Resident Evil 7. It's like one of my favorite horror games, I'd say.
Wait.
Yeah, it's so good.
Oh, yeah. 7, yes.
I could talk about 7 all day. Like the fact that randomly, like 3 years after the wife goes missing, that Ethan, is it Ethan? Wait, yeah, Ethan the husband
Winters.
is like,
Ethan
yeah.
Winters, yes.
He's like, I'm gonna go after her, I'm gonna go find her, and goes in the middle of nowhere into like some weird swamp zone and then into a creepy house. It's like, dude, the minute you saw that creepy house or that abandoned car, you ain't going anywhere. You're going right back to your car and going home. You are like, then you walk 100 feet in front of you and his wife's bag is burning in a heap of new pile of ashes, and it's like, dude, go away, go home, don't go into that place. That's your death. Like, just leave. She's not worth it. But that's just the start of the game. It's like the first 10 minutes. I could go on about it all day, the rest of it, but it's a fantastic horror game. Very atmospheric. I think people get a little scared when they play just because you're contained within the house and the guest house next to it. So like, you're not in this huge zone, but there's freaking lots to discover, and you've got like this mixture of the atmosphere being super creepy, like this old backwater area, and then you've got puzzles, but they're not. I don't find the puzzles too crazy actually. Sometimes when you play a horror game, they add puzzles just to like pad out the game, which is legit, right? You've got to make your game kind of last a decent amount of time.
Plus, that's a Resident Evil staple. You can have a classic Resident Evil without the puzzles at this point.
Yeah, but I don't think 7 was too bad. I don't think 7 was too bad, and I think like it's a nice kind of mixture as well, because like you've like the fact that Jack Baker is like chasing you through the start and you have like nothing to defend yourself, and it's like, okay, and then you get a gun and you're like, this still doesn't help me with him, like he's still gonna like murder the crap out of me. But oh man, like just the story with that game as well, don't get me started. The story is fantastic. And the way that I don't want to spoil it, because even though it's an older game, I don't really want to like spoil like what happens or like the twist or anything, because I definitely would encourage people to go play it. But yeah, Pyrona's right. I love a good mystery. I freaking love a good story which has got a twist in it. I love investigating. I love the lore of things. So when a story or a game has some meat to it, I'm like, oh, I get so excited. I want to cover every inch of the game when it happens. It's like Elden Ring. I'm crap at Elden Ring, right? But I love that game because it's just got so much lore to it. Same with like Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff. It's
They just jam-packed the living hell out of the game with lore and stuff to discover and explore. Yeah. Yeah. A little bit on Resident Evil 7 is that I love the fact that you're just exploring a house, but then it goes wild by the very end of it. Like,
oh yeah,
you're literally playing a Batman game, but way more gruesome, if that makes any sense. Like, you're investigating this place, you are literally on fucking Arkham, but in the middle of of nowhere on just a house. Wow, it's amazing, honestly.
Yeah, and then the switch to when you get to the boat, and you're just like, dude, they ramped up the atmosphere in here just like 10 times more. Plus, you've got the mob kind, like the molded, and it's like, holy crap! I thought I would escape the house and that would be it, but no, it's like, oh my god, there's so much good stuff to see here, and the fact that they use like the flashback mechanic as well is to be able to like relive parts of the story when you're Mia. I love that. So good. Chef's kiss. Really excellent.
Yeah, that's a way to make it flashback. Yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
Okay, going back a little bit with the Batman reference, right? Have you ever played the Batman games? Like, since you love mystery and stuff like that, I thought you will be interested on the greatest detective games and stuff like that.
I think I've played one Batman game. Wait, did I play a Batman? No, I think I've watched some Batman games, but I don't know a lot about them. I think the only one I played was like, was that even See the Telltale games? I love Telltale, by the way. Choose your own
Telltale Batman.
Choices matter. That's the Batman game that I've played. And it was really good. I enjoyed that a lot. But not the other ones. I've heard a lot of good things about some of them though. But I've not played them.
No, but they are pretty good. I can at least back up Arkham Knight, which is the one I played the most out of them. The Telltale one, I've heard a lot of good things about. It's from one of Telltale greatest games, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally. The idea of the Telltale games just really is. Even if the story is not that great, I appreciate a story that lets me choose the path. You know. Like I played a game recently that does the same thing. Like it was called Harmony: The Fall of Reverie, and that's about choices matters. And I swear, like it tugged at my heartstrings from the choices. And when a game does that, I just it goes up in respect for me.
Yeah, when it just it starts tingling the heart a little bit, that's when the story gets really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Milos, what's up? So one of my favorite Telltale games, if I have to pick one, is The Wolf Among Us. Like,
yes.
The Wolf Among Us, it's literally just a mystery game, and I love it. Playing the role of the detective on a literally fantasy realistic world, it's kind of out there, and I love it.
Yeah, I played that, was it like 2 years ago, I think I played it? It was really good, and they've announced Wolf Among Us 2, and I'm just like, I need to play it, like, right now, come on, give me it. It looks really good.
It looks really good, but I'm kind of worried, but yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoyed The Wolf Among Us. I thought it was an excellent story.
Oh yeah.
Really great game.
Yeah, it was a great game, and it still holds up, like, just putting on a realistic setting and making more realistic, like fairy tale characters like the werewolf, the I think Little Red Hood and stuff like that. It's I don't know. It just gives me the Shrek vibes, but way more darker.
Yeah, I can see where you get that. Yeah,
it's just insane. But yeah. So, are you familiar with other horror games outside of Resident Evil and stuff?
Yeah, I've played. Well, I've played a few. I tried to play Outlast and I quit. I think it took me like 2 or 3 hours, and all I did was get to where the cells are, like B deck or whatever it's called, I don't know. Where I just couldn't, like, there's something about a game where you're defenseless and something's chasing you. I don't know, and it just with the atmosphere being dialed up to 11, I just couldn't, like, it really scared me. But I have watched Outlast a million times, so it's like I know what happens. Well, because I watched it with my community, but I know what happens now. But even knowing what happens, I'm still too scared to play it. That's one horror game, but I've played quite a few recently. I played like I think it's a Taiwanese horror game called Detention. That's fantastic. And there was I think it was a Chinese horror game. I can't remember what it's called, but it was really creepy. I love like the indie horror scene. Like, they've got some amazing imagination. For sure. I'm trying to think what other ones. We played Simulacra. Have you heard of that one?
No. No.
So it's basically like it's all done through a mobile phone screen. So it's like you've got basically someone's phone who is gone missing, but their phone landed on your front door and you've no idea how it got there. And it's all like real people's faces, so it's like very hyper realistic. Mm-hmm. And you'll exchange messages through either text or through like their version of Tinder and stuff like that. It's got like a fake Twitter and whatever, and you have to find out what happened to this girl Anna. And honestly, it was really scary. Like, you're trying to figure out like what happened to her, but also did something happen to her with someone she met off of the fake Tinder. I think it's called Spark in that game. And you're kind of like being an investigator yourself, but then it gets dark and it gets like really it's like technology's taking over almost. Classic flip phone. I think it's a modern smartphone.
Yeah, no, if technology's taking over near the end, yeah, that has to be a smartphone.
Yeah, but basically the idea is that the thing called the simulacra, I think that's how you say it. No, it ends with an A. Simulacra. Yeah, and basically this digital entity, because we all live online now, right? And we've all got social media and stuff like that. Like, everybody puts out their perfect self on social media, and that to them, this digital entity, whatever you put on social media like that, that's the perfect, like, that's a perfect you. So that's all that matters. Therefore, if you're not what you say you are online in real life, then they will find a way to take over you, which essentially is like killing you off.
Oh.
And at the end, because it's another Choices Matter game, so there's different endings, and my ending, I swear, I thought something was gonna hunt me, but also I thought I was gonna cry, because it made a choice that either you had to sacrifice someone to the simulacra, or you had to have someone else kill the other person. And I was like, no, like, what do I do? And it was really stressful. But it's also got like puzzles and stuff in it as well, which I thought, for a horror game, doing puzzles the right way, I loved this, because they utilized exactly what they had, which was a mobile phone. So it was all tech based. So it's like text messages would get scrambled and corrupted, so you have to like decode them, or someone's trying to show you a picture of something, so you have to basically get rid of all the static on the image so you can see it properly and get more information and stuff. So I really did shout out to the developers for that game. They did puzzles for me right, I think, because it's not always that you get that, but yeah. There's just a couple I've played recently. I've got like a whole list. I love horror games. They're like kind of like a secret passion of mine. I just wish I was not a scaredy cat and would play more.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Like in the past, at least, when it comes to like when I was more like younger, right? I played just I think 1 or 2 horror games, but I never touched them again, like Silent Hill 1 and Resident Evil 3.
Right.
But outside of that, then a long time after that, I played a game called Dead by Daylight. If you want to remove your fear to horror games, that game is the way to go, because after a few games, like at least 10 or 20, you completely lost the fear of the chase sequences. Like, my god, I'm just literally avoiding someone with tunnel vision at this point.
Yep. I used to play Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I just lost the fear on that, and I want to try out a horror game after playing a lot of hours of Dead by Daylight. Like, I don't know if I'm going to lose the fear. I'm just going to laugh in the face of a xenomorph or whatever. Because Island Isolation is on my side at the moment.
Have you ever played the Chilla's Art games?
The what?
Have you never heard of Chilla's Art?
No.
Oh, okay. So these are an indie developer, big in the Vtuber world, especially, right? Because they got a lot of publicity through like Hololive and Niji Sanji and stuff like that playing their games. But they're a Japanese indie developer who make little mini horror games, and some of them, like the older ones, well, the story might be good because it's like really rough animation, but it's a lot of fun. But their most recent one, Jisatsu, which means Japanese for unaliving, essentially, I found particularly terrifying because it's like you've got to go and you're basically like you work for like a media company, and you have to go and prove you've got the balls for spheres from your boss, right? So your boss sends you out to this old creepy abandoned house to take footage, and essentially while you're taking footage you find these videotapes, and the videotapes show you the actions of a kid who was essentially possessed by a demon, and you go through the steps of what the kid did. And I won't spoil it, of course. It's not a long game. It's like an hour and a half or something.
It's a
but
game. Yeah.
It was really good, and there was a few moments where I was just like, yeah, that was a good scare, because sometimes I'm a bit blind, right? So I don't always see what's right in front of me. So if a scare happens that people could see before me, I'm like, I didn't know. But then there'll be other ones where it's standing right in front of you and I don't see it at all, and they, like, all my chat will be like, uh-oh, and I have no idea what's happening until it clicks and it just goes off, and I'm like, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs. There's a lot of clips of me doing screaming, like, I can't help it. If I'm getting scared, I'm getting scared loud. But yeah, I definitely recommend it.
I might need to ask you for the name, because when it comes to like Japanese like developers or companies, I usually forget if there's anything interesting for me. And when it comes to horror games, that's the genre I've lately been not like attracted to, if that makes any sense. Like horror games are literally the least amount of games I've played so far. It's interesting because I actually need to play more horror games, but I'm a coward too, you know, like yeah, I don't know. And when it comes to resource management on Resident Evil, I suck.
Oh, see, I suck too, so it's fine. Like, don't worry about it. Just throw yourself at it. Like, I started playing, I played Resident Evil 7, and I was like, okay, I'm hooked. So I loved the game, but I was terrible, and I didn't care. And I played Village, and Resident Evil 2, and Resident Evil 4. And honestly, like, there is scary parts in them, yeah. And, like, for me, I screamed like I always do. But there's loads of, like, awesomeness in those games. And even if you're not sure, maybe like play the remakes like RE4. I would recommend playing RE2 first, but RE4 is like a good introduction in the sense of like the difficulty and the mixture of like puzzles, shooting, and like the fear factor. But no, Resident Evil's okay. I think I was a little scared when I first started playing because I'm like, there's a lot of shooting in these games, and I'm not very good at shooting. So, like, how is it going to be? Because FPS is not my thing. I've never really been into shooter games because I'm notoriously bad with my aim because I'm freaking blind. But no, it's actually really good. It's enjoyable. I found at least.
Yeah, that's why you have a knife on Resident Evil 4. Like you can't depend yourself on shooting too much because again, resource management. So you need to have a way to defend yourself. So the knife on Resident Evil 4 is for that. And you don't have to wait too much for a knife, I guess. But yeah, as someone that has astigmatism and needs to use glasses all the time, I feel you on the being bad at first-person shooters. If it wasn't for a group of friends, little me grabbing me by the neck and sitting me down to play Rainbow Six for 400 hours, it wouldn't even improve my aim at all. I will still literally just never play shooters in general. So yeah, it takes a lot of time, but it's worth it. You ended up enjoying a lot of games that you never enjoyed before.
I know, and like I see a lot of my friends, they play like Valorant or Apex, and I'm just like, I would like to, but I'm really bad, and I have no experience other than shooting horror games. But like, even then, it's not the same, and it's, do you know that way? It's like with online games, especially when it comes to playing with other people, whether that's my friends or if it's people online. I have like this weird fear that I will be terrible, therefore they will all hate me, and I hate that because it's like my perfectionist side comes out, and it really puts like a blockade in the way. It's like, no, don't do it because you're putting yourself up for ridicule and failure, and I'm like, oh yeah, so I kind of do avoid it.
Yeah, nah, same, but sometimes I don't know what I do, but I have kind of like a mental block. Every time I start thinking about that, I start playing and forget about it. I don't know why. Like, that's at least when I play online by my own. If I play with friends, yeah, nah. You're literally, if you want me to do something, you're asking a wall to do, like, advanced physics. I cannot. I cannot for the life of me play under pressure. Like, no.
Yeah, that's why I don't do PvP in Final Fantasy 14. It's the same thing. It's like, there's too much pressure.
Yeah, nah. If I'm doing good on a first-person shooter and you notice it, I appreciate the compliment, but don't do that, because that makes me way more pressure than it already is.
Oh.
Yeah, just let me play how I'm at. If you want to win and I'm doing something, just let me keep at it without saying anything. If I'm doing bad, well, that's that.
Yeah, it's legit.
But yeah. Speaking of like horror games and shooters, Alien Isolation. Have you ever like watched anything on that or been interested in playing it?
Well, it's been suggested a few times, and I've only seen a little bit. And that is some sort of alien thing. I think it's called a xenomorph or whatever. Is like running around a ship and can go into vents or something. And it like you have to hide from it. But I don't know anything more than that. So when I say to my chat, what horror games should we play next? And they usually say games that are like really up there in the fear factor. And Alien Isolation is one of them, along with Soma and Outlast, and I'm just like, well, no, Aliens, I don't really have any love for Aliens. Like, I don't mind, but like, it's not like my first go-to. And Outlast, I'm just not ever touching ever again, unless it's the Outlast trials. That's totally different. Like, I'll play this shit out of that. Or Soma, I don't know. Soma scares me because it's underwater, and I have like this mega fear, like deep-rooted fear of deep water. So I don't know if I could do it. But if I tell myself it's in a game and I'll be okay, maybe I will. I don't know.
Okay, so now I'm going to pass the word from a previous guest on here, because literally the last guest I had before you, right? They were they played Soma and they literally hated that game. Like,
really? Why?
I think it was because it was just like a screamer fest. Like, they literally don't waste any opportunity they have to literally jump scare you.
Oh, right. Okay. Great.
As far as I know. When it comes to Alien Isolation, it's pretty much the same premise, but instead of underwater, you're in space. Like, you're on a spaceship, you're in a supposedly abandoned one, and then you have an alien in there. That's why it's abandoned. So you have to either escape and report or kill it, if I remember correctly. I don't know if it's one or if it's multiple, but basically that's the thing. But I think when it comes to like jump scares on that game, those are more predictable because you hear the alien moving and you can hide and prepare for it if you have to. So that's that.
Yeah, those games are totally not my jam. I am just too much of a scaredy cat for that. Like, if I'm gonna play a horror game, I don't mind being scared, right? But it has to have a really good story. Otherwise, I turn off like super quick. Like, you need to get me in with the story. Otherwise, it's a no-go for me. I don't know. It just goes back to like my want for lore. You know, like. There's so many good games out there that have fantastic stories, and that's like my happy zone is a good story.
Yeah.
Finding out a good mystery, lots of lore and all that stuff. So scary stuff like that. No, I don't know if I could.
Yeah. Like, I get it. A story usually is one of the main principal stuff that attracts people to a game outside of, well, character design, music, and even level design in some cases. But when it comes to horror games, I think horror games and RPGs share that particular, like, need. Like, if you want a turn-based RPG to be successful, you need a really good story attached to it. Like the Persona games, the Final Fantasy games. And when it comes to horror games, it's kind of the same thing. I don't know about Resident Evil itself, but I know Silent Hill is like that. Like, you have a really deep story about like psychological horror on a setting like that. It's super interesting. Yeah.
There's a game that I really like that I haven't finished actually. It's called Fatal Frame. Eclipse of the Lunar Moon or something like that. It's really good. Like, it's a totally different type of. It's kind of like walking simulator, but not really because you've got your camera as your weapon.
It's a photographic horror game.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I really enjoyed it. Like, so far. I mean, I need to go back and finish it, but that's a really good story. I've watched a lot of like Madison. I would love to play that, but I think that's also a game that might scare me too much, but it does have a good story. Also photography horror, and then there's another one. It's not Madison. I can't remember. Madison though. That looks really... Visage or Visage, however you call it. That also looks like a really good horror game, but again, it looks like the scare factor is ranked like right to the top, and I don't know if my heart could take it, but I really want to try both of those games.
Yeah. It's just giving it a shot, right? If you have them or have the possibility to get them, might as well. If you don't end up liking, you still can refund it, I guess.
Yeah, I think I actually have both games. Well, no, maybe not Madison, but I know I definitely have Visage. Do you know, you should check out Killer Frequency. That's a good horror game. Yeah, have you heard of that one?
No, but it sounds familiar.
It came out last year. And it's basically you're a radio show host. And it's it's also like choose your own ending kind of thing. It's like multiple endings kind of style. And you have to like try and save the people of the town from the whistling man, who is a serial killer that would go around killing people, but you would hear his whistling tone, like he'd whistle a little tune when he was on his way, and it would make the atmosphere like super scary. That was a really good game. I played that recently. I, like, literally sat down for like 6 or 7 hours straight playing it. It was so good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a really good game, especially for one that's got multiple endings. It's got good music in it as well, because obviously you're a radio show host. So, but literally, you're mostly contained within one room, which is the showroom where you're on air. But like, there's times where you have to navigate to like the other part of the building or to the back alley, and you get locked out and stuff like that. And like, that literally that's as far as you physically go. But even that, like, having to go down to the basement, I was just like, the atmosphere here is just too much. I'm if something jumps out at me, I am going to hit them with this broom. But that's a really good game. I highly recommend that. I would say that's.
I like the premise already. Like, just put me on a building, like a radio station.
Mm-hmm.
That is something out there outside of just being a generic school haunted house or stuff like that, because that's it's a unique setting.
Yeah,
I like that.
And I think, see, because the aesthetic's really cool, it's like 80s style, so it's vibrant colors and stuff. So it's not like you're in this like decrepit building or whatever. It's like super high colors and like really vibrant and very 80s cool. So it's got a good like style to it too.
It's set up like an old 80s like horror film, like those you think will be bad, but it's actually kind of good. Yeah,
it's a really good game.
How did you say it was? Killer Frequency?
Yep.
Alright, I'm gonna write that one down. Alright, so Killer Frequency. Okay. Yeah, okay, so there is a lot of like I I don't know what to say. So when it comes to indie games, right? Usually I overlook a lot of genres when it comes to indie games. I usually focus on either platformers, fighting games, or action games. But when it comes to indie horror games, wow, there's a lot of them. Like,
oh yeah,
a lot of like indie that you can pay off, a lot of free to play indie games. Even I remember back when the YouTubers were getting popular by just playing horror stuff. There was like this one, like I think it was Japanese like website animated manga or something like that, interactive manga or something like that. That was kind of like a horror game in and of itself. I don't remember. But
there's a game that's similar to that came out recently. It was like it's called a World of Horrors, or World of Horror rather, and it's very much that like style. It's like pixel, but it's black and white. It's really good. I never finished it. I gave it a couple of hours, and I probably should go back and like see all the other stuff that it's got to offer. But that's a good game. But yeah, I haven't really played any that are like online like that, like on a browser. But dude, there are so many indie horrors that are just really good.
Yeah.
Like super good, and from countries as well that you probably wouldn't come across your radar to think about. Like, if you're a Vtuber, you probably know about the Japanese horror stuff. You'll know about the English and American side and all that stuff. But like Taiwanese and Indonesian horror are so good. I would say they're freaking amazing. Like, if you were to check out a game called Home Sweet Home, that's a Indonesian horror, if I'm right. If I'm not, somebody's going to correct me, I know, but that's okay. And that's a fantastic game, and they've got more content coming out for it soon as well. The other game that I played, which was I believe it says it's Oriental, but I'm pretty sure it's Chinese, was Firework. That's got a fantastic story and lots of creepiness to it as well. That's another like indie game that's just so freaking good.
Oh.
But yeah, there's
At this point, I'm going to literally reach you out in October. Hey, give me a list of at least 5 horror games that catch your attention, indie horror games, and I'll check them out in October. Because holy shit, I'm doing my shopping list for October on fucking February. Good lord, I love it. Oh, but yeah, there's a lot of horror games to check out. Damn it. You're talking to someone that has been literally just playing action platformers, so like funny, happy, sad even stuff, but nothing that can literally just scare the living hell out of me. I'm still a coward. I'm still a coward. I'm still get jump scared on first-person shooters, for Christ's sake. Oh good lord. But yeah, nah. I need to actually check horror games from time to time because I need to get the fear out somehow, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if you get the fear out, like, I swear, Outlast or probably, what's the other one that's like that? Darkest Descent? Wait,
well,
that's not what it's called. What's it called?
When it comes to Outlast, I played Outlast a little bit, right?
Right, okay.
Bored of it. Like I got bored. Yeah, I got bored after the first jump scare you get from the big dude. Like the one jump scare that he grabs you and throws you out of the second floor to the first.
Yeah.
That jump scare just was nah. I'm not playing that anymore. That was nah.
So it bored you? That's the first scare.
That's the first scare, and yeah, that was the first scare, and to get over there was boring. Trust me. I get it. This is a reporter that is just climbing stuff with a camera on his hand. I don't know how he's doing that, but you know what? Fuck it. Me too. So, scary games are too spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. Have you tried Alan Wake?
Alan Wake. I have it, the first one, and a DLC or a second like spin-off game called American. I don't know what. Like,
oh yeah, no one.
Yeah, I have it on Epic Games. I need to play it though. I've heard a lot of good things about Alan Wake.
Yeah, it's one of those games where it's got a good story, but the story is very confusing. And I remember playing the first one, and I was like, at the end, I still don't know quite what happened. But it was good. Like, it was one of those ones where I didn't like it at first. I thought I'm gonna hate this game because of the controls. Like the controls for me were a bit janky, but after I got like used to it for a bit, like I was able to enjoy myself and enjoy the story. But honestly, I haven't played the second game, so I don't know how good it is. The first one was good. It was just confusing for sure.
I remember feeling the exact same thing on a game called Deadly Premonition.
Okay.
Like, I've been hearing a lot of like good things about Deadly Premonition at the time, and when I got it and played it, no, the controllers were awful, but the story was weirdly interesting and kind of scary. But it was interesting. It was an interesting murder story and an interesting horror game, to say the least. Like, that was one of the first horror games that I was playing it. I wasn't scared, but I was still feeling the atmosphere. Like, I was about to get like jump scare somehow, but nah, it's still tense. I like it.
Yeah.
I like that for a little bit. I ended up dropping because the controls were so awful. My god, it was so awful.
It's kind of a shame when a game has like the controls are really bad, but the story's decent, and you're like, you want to keep going for the story, but you're just like, I can't actually deal with this anymore. I'm gonna snap at these controls.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it's such a shame.
Yeah. Oh my god, if I wouldn't know that. I've said it once and I said it again. Jump scares are the fart jokes of video games. That explains why they were so popular between the 2011 and 2014. Good lord. My god, those were awful too.
Have you played, speaking of Outlast, have you played the Outlast Trials?
The Outlast Trials, no. I've barely played the first one, so that just killed the interest for me on the franchise, if I'm being honest.
Okay, so funnily enough, right? I can't play out. I can't play Outlast 1 or 2 because I just don't like the way I get really scared. But the Outlast trials, it's like a prequel to all of them, where you're the one that's getting tested on, and you're going through these trials as part of a test. So it's scary if you do a solo run because it's between 1 and 4 players, and you can have as many in or out as you want from that. But I know that when you go in with 4 players and it's your friends, it's just really funny. It's like Dead by Daylight. The fear factor goes away really freaking fast. Like, never mind 10, 20 plays. I'm talking the first game. I'm like, I'm not scared of this anymore. And I think it's just because, for me, Outlast Trials, it kind of overloads you with the scare tactics. Therefore, you kind of become numb to them really quickly. And it makes it easier because your friends are there. So, I really enjoy the Outlast Trials. Like, I would definitely play that again. I mean, I would play that over Dead by Daylight, probably. Even though I've played Dead by Daylight for a few hundred hours. I don't play it anymore, though.
Yeah, no, I played Dead by Daylight a lot, too. And, yeah, I don't play it anymore. Because at the end of the day, it just ends up being super repetitive. And the survivor side a little bit too broken, I guess? But that depends on the players, too.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing with DBD is the community around it. Like, you're either killers are too broken or survivors are too broken, and it's always a fight between each, is what I've found. However, I will say though, while I don't necessarily play anymore and maybe not part of the community anymore, I have to respect the hustle from Behavior, because Behavior Games have managed to get some really high profile targets in their game. You've got like friggin' Nicolas Cage. How the hell did Nicolas Cage get into this game? I have no idea.
I mean,
it's like,
I don't know why he's a survivor. The dude looks like a sociopath that could easily be a killer, but you know what? It's Nicolas Cage. He can be whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, true. But like, they really have been able to step up and be that. They're like a pedestal. They're on their own little island. Like, nothing can touch them. It's like
everybody's trying.
They've been trying for years. They've been trying to take them off the top spot for years because they're trying to replicate a game that is a horror asymmetrical game, and it's actually not as easy to do a game like that. You have to get it right, and it can be quite repetitive as you say. It's like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. A lot of people moved from DBD to play that, but it's not got the same pool as what DBD has because it's got so much variety in it. I mean, the fact that you can play Michael Myers, like, that's freaking cool. Everybody wants to do that, right?
Yeah.
And a million other players that they've got.
The only game that I've seen that tried to replicate and was kind of successful was Friday the 13th. Like, yeah,
but they screwed themselves over.
Yeah, that and the licensing for Jason is a whole different story. Like, Jason Voorhees, it's on the Friday the 13th IP itself.
Yeah.
It's like, it's on a legal hoopla that it's basically impossible to get a hold of it for a long period of time. You will have, like, a lot of problems with it.
Yeah.
So
it's had a lot of problems.
Yeah, but at least the developers give a lot of love to that game. Like, the amount of references to all the movies, the characters, the skins, everything was just a love letter to Friday the 13th as a franchise. It was amazing.
Yeah. And I do hope that a game like Texas Chainsaw Massacre can do the same. I know there might not be as much to pull from, but it's still, I don't know, I played it once or twice and I thought it was okay. I just hope they add a little bit of variety in there because it looks to be, I haven't looked at it in a few months actually, to be fair, but it was pretty repetitive and samey.
What can you add to something that is just one IP? Like, when it comes to Dead by Daylight, with Dead by Daylight you have this like cool thing that lets you add a lot of variety when it comes to like who is chasing you. Like, you can go from a Canadian woman with an axe to a xenomorph to a Demogorgon to Michael Myers, Freddy Krueger to even a parody of Jason, which is a trapper. So yeah, with Dead by Daylight, you have a lot of variety on that end. Then you have the survivors with different abilities and techniques and stuff like that. But when it comes to like single IP type of like games, unless the gameplay itself has a variety, like when you enter a match, or you have a different killer or survivors like can do different stuff, that's when the variety kicks in, at least for me. There is one game based on an IP that is coming up soon and it looks interesting, and that's Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
I haven't seen that.
Okay, so this game, it's being developed, I think it was by Triceratops Games. I don't remember the name of the developers, I'm sorry. But this game, it's basically, it's a Dead by Daylight clone, but you have multiple killers and I think you have at least 2 more survivors than the 4 usual, right? And it plays differently on the fact that you can actually attack the killer and kill them.
Oh,
Because-
I think I've seen something about that actually.
Yeah, they released a trailer, I think, a few days ago on IGN Fest. The trailer basically show up what both killers and survivors can do. The survivors can pile up onto one killer, hit them enough times, and then kill them if they have the correct weapons. Because now survivors have weapons, which is interesting too.
Yeah, there's been one or two DVD clones that have done the same thing. I can't for the life of me remember what they are because I know I played them. And they were like the kind of same style where you could actually use tools or weapons to like get away from the killer. They didn't kill them, I don't think, or if they did, it's like you have to respawn and come back. So like they can still escape, right? So if you're like in the middle of a school, for example, and like the escape is through the gym, like if you kill the killer and he spawns in the gym and you're trying to escape, then you're screwed, kind of thing. But yeah, there's been 1 or 2 games that have done that similar style, and I don't know how if they have at all survived, because they like the ones that I seen didn't have like a special IP around them. They didn't have like a big name. They were just like their own kind of thing. So I don't know, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. This new one.
I already can tell that even if you have a big IP, if you don't have something that can catch the attention of the player like for a long period of time with a unique gimmick or something that makes it more interesting or completely different from Dead by Daylight, there's no honest competition to be had when it comes to that. If I'm being completely honest, like when it comes to Friday the 13th, yeah, that game was loaded with love to Jason Voorhees and the Friday the 13th franchise. But at the end of the day, it was just another Dead by Daylight. You have survivors, you need to go kill them. Granted, you have at least a lot of different finishing moves for just one character, which is something Dead by Daylight doesn't have. And it's kind of unique because you can use them all the time with different like interactable on the map. But yeah, I don't know what the unique gimmick on the Chainsaw Massacre game is. I know the unique gimmick on Killer Clowns at least. And it's faithful to the movie, which is, yeah, it's funny. So yeah, that's that. Like that's how that's what at least I know. It doesn't stick out, because even if you have unique mechanic or unique way to present the mechanics of Dead by Daylight, it's not going to last longer, I guess. Maybe it's because the IP limits you on that, but yeah. They even tried with Dragon Ball of all things too. I remember that.
Oh, really?
I think the game's still around. It's called Dragon Ball The Breakers. So, yeah, you take your own character, either you personalize it or not. I don't know what you can do with your character, right? And then you have to collect the Dragon Balls, repair the time machine, and escape from a weird like time limbo you are trapped in. And you're trapped in there with other 3 players and one of the main Dragon Ball villains, like Freezer, Cell, Boo, the Ginyu Force, I don't know. And the killers can evolve. Like, they can transform into the different forms they have. They can switch places in the case of the Ginyu Force. And yeah.
Is this like a perfect Cell moment?
I guess so. I know the map is like really huge and it's a collective like of different parts of the show. Like you have one part dedicated to Namek, one part dedicated to each city, or something
Mhm.
like that. It's kind of weird, and I
Mhm.
think it's still active. Yeah, but the player base is just drops. Like, it's
Oh, really?
yeah, it's not much of a horror game and more of a kind of a just survive kind of game. Like, they don't have the horror factor at the beginning like Dead by Daylight or the other ones. It's just
Mhm.
there. It's just, you're just there. You cannot be scared by Dragon Ball like villains, except
No.
for Cell. Except for Cell on the first one, because they intentionally made him a horror character at the beginning of the Cell saga, but that's just here and there.
I don't think I could ever see Cell as a horror character though. But then again, never getting into anime. But yeah, I don't know if I could see him as a horror character. I don't know why.
Maybe if you see the introduction they give Cell on the show, you can actually kind of think that. But yeah, I get you. It's hard to
Yeah,
see Cell as a horror character.
yeah. Like I watched Dragon Ball Super and with my husband, and then I watched Dragon Ball Abridged, and from then I just can't take Cell seriously.
Takahata made a really good job with him. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, even the introduction on a bridge is kind of scary if you really think about it. But then you take Taka not seriously at all, so that kind of just removes the horror factor later on. But still, it's a really cool introduction for the character. The best one he has. Yeah. Horror games are kind of an interesting topic that I don't get to tackle too often here, so yeah. I wish I wish I was more knowledgeable on that. I played very few, nothing at all when it comes to horror games.
To be fair, I think like I would know nothing too if I was not such a weirdo. Like I have a bit of a obsessive personality when I get into something. Like I really get into it, and I lose parts of my life to it because I'm focused so much on it, and like I'll dig into everything. So yeah, it's just kind of part of me to just. It's like when I started to play Darkest Dungeon, for example, that is probably up there with my top 5 games, and it was like I've played hundreds of hours of that game. Now right now I can't remember a damn thing, but if I was to get back into it, I like obsess so much that I like consume so much content and media, and I look up like the lore on it, and I get obsessed. It's just the kind of person I am.
Yeah, it happens to me, but mostly with the game itself. I usually don't delve into the other media too much unless it's really interesting stuff. Like, how many hours you said you had on 7 years of Final Fantasy 14? Like, how many hours you played that?
I have played, I can give you, it has been, oh my god, I don't really know if I should say, 8,149 hours.
Okay,
over 9 years.
So, in the same amount of time, in 7 years, like this year, it's going to be the 7th year. I've been playing Warframe, right? And I've played at least 2,000 hours on it.
Right.
I've been interested in a lot of things when it comes to Warframe, but mostly on the game. When it comes to other things like music and other content they have, I'm not checking it out too much. But the game itself took me on. Like, I've played hours on it. Like, the first, like, at least 500 hours, I got it on a year. And then I started gradually playing less and less over time, to a point that I just log in to check if there's new rewards or missions to play or content to enjoy. And just breeze through it because I'm literally just late game at that point.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I kinda like just getting myself into a franchise, just dive in and finishing in less than a month. I like doing that from time to time if I find the correct franchise to do so.
See, I wish I was like that, but I start games and don't finish them. Like, I'm notoriously bad. Or I'll for like, say for example, like Persona 5 Royal, I started that game, I put like 70 hours into it.
And still didn't finish. That game is so...
Still not finished it, and I want to go back, and it will be 2 years since I've played it. So it's the same with like I left Final Fantasy VII Remake for like a year before finishing it. I don't know why. I was enjoying it. I do this constantly. It's like I was enjoying Nier Replicant and Automata. I didn't finish them either. I still haven't finished Cyberpunk. I still haven't finished Baldur's Gate. I started that in August. Like there's so many games that I just start and don't finish. It's the same with like TV and stuff.
I'm guessing it's because of the length of the game at this point, because all the examples you gave me are usually the games that have more than 100 hours to finish the base game.
Yeah, I'm notoriously bad for that. I usually pick big games because there's just so much to digest.
Same.
Like, I love that. So there's just so much story and everything else, and there's like world building going on. So it's enjoyable, but I sometimes think, especially when being a streamer as well, like you kind of have to give your audience a break from what you're doing and change it up a little bit. So I always get nervous if I stick to one game too often that my chat will get bored. So I switch it up, and then because I switch it up, I forget to go back.
Yeah, nah, it happens the same to me. If I don't finish this now, I ain't going to finish it later because I'm going to forget or don't want to. So yeah, I just take up with one game or two depending on what I'm doing. Yeah, it happens. That's why I usually try to avoid like way longer games that have more than 100 hours to complete the main story, because I'm going to get really sidetrack on the secondary missions, leveling up or grinding. That and the fact that in and of itself the game it's way longer than 30 hours in and of itself, even if you speedrun the story, right? It's insane. Like, yeah, I usually try to stick to retro or indie games that are usually on the shorter side of things, that are just a quick play, maybe 1-2 streams of 2 hours each, and I'm done with it. Nice. If I have to play longer games, I play it on my own time.
Yeah.
That's at least what I do.
Yeah, I should do that. I don't though. I start long games and I'll say to myself, okay, you're picking one game that's really long, you stick to that, and everything else can be shorter games. You mix those up so that at least there's variety. And then when it comes to that plan, it falls apart because before you know it, I've started 3 other long games and I've got too much on my plate. So it gets a little bit crazy, and I have major streamer guilt when it comes to playing games offline, because it's like, but it's really strange. I have this thing where I feel guilty for not playing the game because I want my community to enjoy it with me, and it feels weird not having them. It's like a codependency thing here. It's weird. It's like I need them so I can like talk about it, because I'm not the type of person to sit and just play a game in silence. Like, I get excited, I get very vocal, I can get loud sometimes, so like I love to be able to share that. And when it's bouncing off of like a chat, for example, that's a happy place for me, because I can share my excitement or my joy or even sadness. There's a lot of games that are made me cry a lot. So it's like weird. I try to play some games offline, but like usually it's only Final Fantasy 14 or maybe Darkest Dungeon. Everything else, or maybe Hollow Cure, but that's it. Like the only games that I play are those, I think, because everything else I'm like, I need to stream it, I need to share this.
Yeah, you're the exact opposite of me, actually.
Yeah.
Like, I like sitting just in silence, enjoying the game, like just processing everything mentally, you know? Like, I don't know, maybe it's because I kind of like focusing more on the game, like getting in the immersion of the game, you know? Like, I like picking up small things and then just piecing it out all together on the train of thought while playing the game. It's kind of like if I have the chat or a distraction or you have to comment on everything, I will miss on a lot of other details on the game. Like, oh shit, I missed this spot, or oh shit, I missed this collectible here when it was on plain sight. I don't know. It just, maybe it's just a me issue. I still don't have the streamer brain.
No, I think every streamer is the same. I think we all have streamer brain where we miss stuff more when we're streaming live to people. So it's like, it's totally legit. I think just for me, like, my brain is so noisy and so like I have a really, I don't know, it's it's really like a freaking whirlwind in there. That like having the game and a chat and a stream to manage, like I am okay with that. Like I don't. Maybe I'm not playing my best, but I still like become super immersed. It's like I'm immersed with my chat. It's like something that we do together. It's like they're my little pocket monsters. They're sitting in my pocket with me. Like we're going on an adventure. I don't know what it is. It's just it's easy for me to get immersed and be imaginative and like really just enjoy what's happening. So like I'm not the type of player that's gonna be like, if I miss a collectible, I miss a collectible, right? I'm not going to worry about it. Unless it's loot. Like, I'm a loot goblin. I will 100% backtrack on a game to go get loot.
Oh, yeah.
But everything else, I'm kind of like, as long as it's not story focused or lore focused, like with little Easter eggs or anything, I'm okay with missing it. But generally, for me, I'm just like obsessing over like the story that's happening in front of me and just like share my emotions and my experience and reactions with chat, you know?
Yeah. So. Honestly, since you like stories so much, have anyone recommended you Hades by any chance?
Yeah, I have it. I just haven't played it yet.
Play it. You're missing out on an amazing story, trust me.
Oh, really? Okay. I will.
If I have to put a bet on it, it's one of the best representations of Greek mythology studies in recent years. Like, it's really good. My god, it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I've stopped playing for like a month and I still can't stop thinking about it.
Really?
Of how good it is. My god.
Wow. Okay. Don't take a note of that.
Yeah. Sorry, I have to. If we're talking about like lore, story, and getting obsessed over a story, I have to bring up Hades. And I have to bring Borderlands too, but Borderlands is just... Yeah, I cannot recommend that. Unless it's just the second game. I cannot recommend that.
I've played Borderlands too. I didn't really... it was fun, but at the same time, like... I don't know, like I just... At the start, I died a lot and it kind of put me off because it felt like I wasn't progressing. Therefore, I can't enjoy like the story part of it, you know?
Yeah, I would recommend if you want to get into Borderlands and you don't want to play the game, I would absolutely recommend watching videos about it. Because when it comes to the story of Borderlands, the game itself just makes it a little funnier if you just experience it, but I think you can also get the story across with the cutscenes and the dialogue of the characters, because that's the at least main attraction for me when it comes to Borderlands. The interaction between the characters and how batshit insane the thing gets. And Handsome Jack being the best fucking villain out there. It's just amazing on that regard. Absolutely recommend. If you want to just sit down and watch something, watch Story of Borderlands. It's amazing. Or play Tales of the Borderlands, that goes out there too.
Oh yeah, I do have that as well, actually.
Yeah, that's a Telltale game, so...
Yeah, it is, yeah. I've had that on my list for years and I still haven't played it, so yeah, it's another one I haven't gotten around to. The backlog gets bigger and bigger every time I look at it.
Yep. It reminds me of mine. Damn it. Okay.
Yeah.
So, we had a good time here. I think it's time for us to wrap up. Do you have anyone would you recommend rating at the moment?
There was someone in chat, Mr. Pyronin Kiwano. Actually, that's my husband.
Hey, are we streaming right now?
He is. He's doing a level 1 challenge of Elden Ring.
Ooh.
Yeah, so he's done pretty well so far. So yeah.
Ooh, okay. So
that's my recommendation.
Alright, let me put the raid channel thing. Alright. So okay. Before we go, I need to put this here, right? Here are Liliana's socials for those who want to follow her. Again, they pretty much a horror streamer at the moment, so fair warning on that if you have heart problems or you don't like horror games. So that's that. But they have other content too. I will absolutely recommend checking it out. And as for me, Yeah, no. Wait for me on my social medias. I have to announce the guests coming up. Literally next weekend we're starting all off again, and I have a few announcements on that end, but I'm going to sit on them at the moment and wait until the next episode of the show. But as for now, we're going to visit. We're going to visit Liliana's husband. So yeah. I might bring him to the show too. Why not?
He would have a lot to talk about.
Oh, if they're doing challenges, yeah, for sure. I'm in on that. So yeah, in my case, I'll be seeing you guys later. See you around.